So let me take you through a sample introduction statement. You can say the introduction statement before the rapport building or after the rapport building. I move it back and forth. I'll even say it after I pre-qualify to a certain extent, but I always make sure to state the introduction because in a scripted fashion, because it's so important to get in their heads who you are and why you're there and why it matters to them, because 90% of the stuff that's said in any sales presentation is always forgotten within the next 24 hours. So you want to make sure you give a scripted, solid, tonality-focused introduction script. So let's go ahead and say it. So when I sit down with prospects, so let me tell you, now you told me a little bit about yourself, and Mrs. Prospect. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do. My name is David Duford. I'm a licensed life insurance agent with the state of Tennessee. I have been for almost 6 years now. I have helped over 1,500 people get affordable final expense coverage to pay for their burial expenses. And the reason people do business with me is because everybody I see pretty much is on a fixed income, and they're looking for a way to spend the least amount of money for the most value out of their final expense plan. Bottom line is, they want to get a plan that they can properly afford to get good value out of, but they don't want to spend too much money for it. What I do that's different from a lot of agents is that I actually represent a variety of companies, in some cases 10 to 15, and I ask my customers like yourself what their health is, and then I go to these companies and see which one of these is going to give you the best option. Long story short, I give you the best bang for your buck, so you don't have to spend any more than you have to on a final expense plan. That's the script in a nutshell. I basically say about 80 to 90% of that every single time I sit down with a prospect. So let's go through each portion of this. The beginning's obvious. You state who you are. My name is David Duford. What you are, or what your designation is, I'm a licensed life insurance agent with the state of Tennessee. Also, just as a segue or an additional, it's very beneficial if you laminate your license and hand this to them as you're saying that. Again, it's not enough anymore just to tell. You also have to show, okay? You can't assume that your prospect is going to take everything you say as gospel truth. In fact, you should think that they completely are skeptical of every claim that you make, including your claim that you're licensed. That's a claim. We assume that we know it's true because we've sat the license. We know we got the license, but we always have to try to validate what is the truth by showing evidence. And if you think like that, by the way, throughout your entire presentation, you are going to sell more just by that mentality that you take nothing for granted. So, as I said, my name is Dave Duford. I'm a licensed life insurance agent. That's me handing my license over with the state of Tennessee. I've been in business for 5.5 years. I've helped over 1,500 families get final expense coverage to pay for their burial costs. The reason people do, and so that's the validation, that's third-party validation, where I say I've helped this many people for X number of years do this. So if you're brand new to the business, you don't worry about it. One thing I used to say when I got started was, I'm licensed by the state of Tennessee. I've been licensed for under a year. I've jumped through all the hoops to be able to be licensed as a life insurance agent. I pass all the tests. I've done all the studying. That kind of stuff still is a statement of proof or credibility, again, which will, in many cases, is good enough anyway. You don't have to have 1,000 people to have anybody regard you as an expert or not. You just have to make some sort of claim and then back it up to some extent. So the last part is the most important. This is the unique selling proposition. The reason people do business with me is because most people I see are on a fixed income and only have so much a month that they can afford. And many companies only sell one company or only one product. The way that I'm different and the way that I can help people like yourself out is I go out with the 5, 10, whatever amount of companies you have, and I shop around to try to find the best price and the best coverage. And so the goal is for you and my clients is I can, in many cases, get them better quality coverage at a much better price than what they'd find on TV or through the mail or through another agent. So that whole script there, if you're an independent agent, and that's what I'm assuming, you may be not, and you may have to alter that, but if you're an independent agent, by the way, I hope you are, because that's the best way to be successful in this business. If you're an independent agent and you open up the script like that, you're positioning who you are, and if you think about what the prospect is listening to, if there's somebody that in the back of their mind has been thinking about buying burial insurance for a long time, when they hear you talk about, I deal with people who are on fixed incomes, I deal with people who don't have all the money in the world, and I deal with people who, are looking for the best value of coverage. These people who are buyers are thinking about that. They're like, I don't know if I got the money. I don't know if this is really right for me. I don't want a 2-year waiting period. I heard that Colonial Penn has a 2-year waiting period policy. I don't want that. This is all the objections swirling in the back of their head that have yet to be verbalized yet. And so what happens is when you say that positioning statement and you make sure to hit all those potential objections, it's a powerful statement of benefit to the client so they know who you are, what you do, and just like I said, why it matters to the prospect. And once you make that statement, the way you know you're doing it right is the person's like, yeah, oh yeah, that's me, I'm on a fixed income. And they kind of are following you along verbally or via body language that they agree with your statement. So that's me, because I personally hear that all the time. And you will too when you start saying this stuff. It's like, yeah, that's me, I'm on disability, I make $1,000 a month. I don't have a money tree out back. And they'll say stuff like that, or yeah, I've got health problems, and blah, blah, blah. I've seen that thing. So, that kind of stuff makes a huge impact on getting connected with them, which is funny because those statements of benefit connect the client like rapport building does, or like trust building, because it really is rapport building and trust building. And that's kind of like in a sense, where I want to start to conclude this particular training. At the end of the day, if there's one part of the sales presentation and final expense that's somewhat intangible, it's the beginning, with the exception of the introduction. And the key thing with rapport and trust building is that it's not a part of the whole as much as that it is a part of the whole, meaning that the rapport building and trust building is always either increasing or rapidly decreasing because you said something that turned them off, or you start saying things that build that level of trust and rapport up. So the key factor here that I would suggest to somebody as a personal producing agent like myself has been for a long time is just try to focus in the beginning to get your client at ease, really get good at scripting out your introductory statement. And remember, the true trust building and rapport building is built when you demonstrate your knowledge on their health, their medication history, being sensitive to the concerns that they have like budget and quality of coverage, and really building the case as to why they should do business with you versus all the other options that are out there.